All right, all right, all right. Welcome to this episode of Warrior Week Parables from the Pit. My guest is a very special mentor, coach, brother, friend, a man that I love dearly, special man, known to the Warrior community. And I'll have much more to say about him. I'll let him to explain some of the stuff that he's done, who he is. He is Dan Cirillo.
What's up? What's up? How you doing?
AKA Taco. For those of you that know him as Taco.
Taco Actual.
You know who he is. You know who he is. Dan, welcome to the show, man.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
That's great. It was great having you today at the training in the facility. Today, we had a training going on at our facility here. And Dan kind of called me and said, hey, man, I'm in town. Where you at? I'm like, at training. Is hey, I'm going to pass by. Great. Dan came in. And next thing you know, Dan is on the stage talking to 15 or 20 other guys. Because this is what you do, man.
Yeah. Just fucking go rap with people and tell them the story.
Last time you did that was approximately 9 months ago, and it was in front of an audience of 900 people.
Yeah.
And I remember you being on the stage, and it was an emotional day for me as you were expressing some of your truth. And I've kind of fucked up the situation a little bit. I didn't tell you needed a suit, and you're like, what the fuck, motherfucker? So tell us the story how you got the suit, because that was
So Sam calls me, and he's like, well, I knew I was coming down. And I get there, and he's like, yeah, make sure you have a black suit, whatever. I'm like, I brought a blue suit. And so as I go through the suit, I notice that the suit jacket and the suit pants don't match. So they're not even the right suit. They look like crap. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look up there and look like a dummy, you know? And so I drive to Nordstrom's really quick, and I call my wife. I'm like, hey, where can I get a suit made in one day? She's like, oh, go to Nordstrom's. I'm like, whatever. So drive to Nordstrom's, sure as shit. They have a suit there. They make it for me. Of course, it's the most expensive suit in the whole store. Imagine that, right? And I'm like, pull up my credit card. I'm like, all right, swipe it. And 3 hours later, man, it was perfectly tailored.
Perfectly tailored. Yeah, great.
So, yeah.
I started the podcast referring to that moment because truly that moment on the stage, and I have the footage. I will share the footage with you. I will share the footage also on the podcast as we publish this podcast a few days from now. It was a pivoting point, man. It was a pivoting for you, and it was a pivoting point for you, who you've become. It's a pivoting point for what is going to continue to be. And I want you to kind of like give us the story of Dan prior to the stage, and then we'll pause and we'll talk about what happened. It's kind of like those movies where, that almost like the end of the movie or the exciting part begins, and then they roll back and they talk about, what brought you to that stage, Dan.
Yeah, so obviously I went up on stage to raise money for the Navy SEALs Fund, excuse me, and I was asked to go speak to you guys as one of the guys who've helped you guys along the way a little bit here and there. And
a lot.
As I got on stage, for some reason, as I was talking about the work that I do helping my brothers who are struggling, I decided to talk about me. And I talk about how at that moment I had decided to basically go seek help myself. I've spent my whole life, basically talking about here's how to live, here's how to be a husband, here's how to be a father, etc. But and I was able to do that, but I was slowly losing what I had gained. I had a lot of failure at that time. I had all this success for so many years, and then little by little, my failure just started enveloping me. I built the successful business, and then the business isn't doing good. I was a successful football coach, and then I got fired. I was a SEAL, and then my SEAL career was over. All these things that I thrived on, slowly but surely, little by little, were chipped away. The deaths of my friends were starting to get wear out at me. And then the final point was my wife getting cancer. And when she got cancer, it just crushed me. It literally ripped my guts apart. So everything that I was before that was just gone as soon as she got sick. And so I think it was like a week, or even maybe it was a few days, right when I was on stage, I actually went to go PTSD and alcohol treatment right after that. And, I'm one of those guys who I've always drank. That's part of the culture of being a SEAL. But I never would say I had a problem. Like, oh, not me. That's other people, right? And that was the first time in my life I said I have a problem. That year prior to that, I had just, I was always a weekend drinker, party or whatever. I'd basically become a daily drinker. And I went from being like the number one person in my company to basically barely holding on to my job. And standing on stage, I'd already made the decision that I'm going to go to treatment. but I don't know how serious I was about it. I don't know if I was actually committed to it. But as I stood up there raising money for the guys, it was just a really big defining point that, hey, man, I need to do something because nothing is going right. Everything was failing for me. Everything that I had built, these beautiful gyms, et cetera, the success, it was just gone.
Yeah.
And I worked so hard to try to get it back, and it wouldn't come back. It was just, I would get these massive contracts, make all this money, come back, and yeah, we need more money to make payroll. We need this. And I kept in that realm, and then I got into that blame realm of hey, they're out to get me. This person's screwing me over. That person's taking advantage of me, et cetera. All the things that I've been preaching against for so long. Now I'm actually believing it, because, the cloud just closed.
Yes.
And it was as if I was staring through a pipe, whereas before my life had so much clarity and whatnot. It just started devouring itself little by little. Every time one of my friends would die, every time, something in the business would happen as my wife got sicker, when the football thing, you think you're helping somebody only it to come back, not really helping. And the person you're trying to help is actually, basically turning you in, to benefit themselves. And so everything at that point was very good. And as I stood on stage talking about, hey, we're going to raise this money to send guys to help, I basically stood there in front of the crowd and said, and I'm going to.
Yeah.
And it's the first time ever that I had admitted there was even a problem. I had kept it pretty secret, because nobody knew that I drank the way I drank. I drank at home.
Correct,
I drank quietly in my TV room, and I never really was a partier. I'd learned a lesson from drinking outside the house because I made an embarrassment of myself so many times,
Yeah.
But it was the first time ever that I stood there in front of everybody and said, I'm going to go get help.
100%. And I remember that moment. I remember that moment as you shared on the stage the situation that has taken place and everything else. Yeah, we're having a little bit of difficulty. Everything else that took place, man. Like your honesty on the stage, the honesty that you had on the stage was what was admiring. We're gonna switch places.
Okay. Switcheroo.
Yeah, you're the guest. And I recall the moment when you and I hugged because it was a very special moment for me as I came across you 3 years and a half ago when Garrett asked you to come and train us on some particular training that we needed for our program. And as you came into this with us, it was an honor just to learn a lot of these training methodology from you. And, there was this instant connection and the work that we've done to learn that and to do it in the right way, to do it in a way that blends in what we do and not to just replicate some bullshit out there and truly stay by it and believe in it and change lives. And out of all the training that I've got from you, like what keeps impressing me every single day, every time I see you, is the thousands of lives that you have impacted, including mine. By your presence, by just sometimes one word that you say, and it has a massive impact. I've heard it so many times around so many people that have been coached by you, that have been in processes where you were a trainer, whether that was in the military or outside in the civilian side, and all the adventure and the experiences that you've created. And I don't have any direct impact of the companies that you work. Like I don't have any direct information about the people that you work with inside of those companies. I would assume that that's the same. But everyone that I have across, everyone that talks about you, always talk about that they've learned something from Taco. They've learned something from Dan. How has this been part of your life ever since you were young, impacting other lives?
Well, I had to really learn on my own how to be me.
Yeah.
I like typical childhood, wasn't good.
Yeah.
A lot of many issues. My mom was married 9 different times, and along that way, many men. And, I learned to fight because I learned to fight men. When I got tired of getting beat, I started beating them. And, bless my mom's heart, God rest her soul. She did the best she could. In difficult situations, and it took me a long time to correlate what the reason she did some of the things she did. That's what she was taught. Somebody showed her that. And so along the way, I basically would study.
Yeah.
And what I did is I didn't study books. I studied people. I would study people who were mean to me, and I go, I don't want to be that. I'm not going to do that. I don't like that. And I'd study people who were nice to me. I'm like, man, I wish I could be like that guy, right?
Yeah.
And I'd take little tiny bits, but what I really learned is what I didn't like being done to me.
Mm.
And then when I would catch myself doing it to other people, I'd be like, man, that's kind of messed up, man.
Mm.
And so little by little, I started learning how to just see something in somebody and find a way to reach them.
Yeah.
You know, as a new guy SEAL, I had good mentors and I had bad mentors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of them were abusive. That was the culture of the SEAL teams back then. You get the crap hazed daddy, you get the crap kicked daddy, you know. And then I had other guys who like put their arm around your shoulder and go, hey man, we're gonna help you out.
Yeah.
You know, and I learned both from both sides, you know. And then when I became a BUD/S instructor, it was like, you know, I got a speech given to me. And it's like, are you just here to fuck dudes up, or are you here to find teammates?
Yeah.
And that resonated with me, right? It's the first time anybody really kind of clarified what my role was as an instructor. Is it here to just hurt dudes, or here to find teammates? And I think that was one of the biggest defining moments for me, is I was like, I want to find teammates.
Yes.
Because I didn't like the way I was treated when I was a new guy. It just sucked, right? And obviously you got to be hard on dudes. You got to push dudes. You got to get rid of what doesn't belong. But once you find these guys who they show you something, it's like, okay, man, I'm going to work with you. I'm going to try, and I want to see what I can do. And I carried that over when I went to SEAL Team 7. When SEAL Team 7 got formed, I did everything I could to become a member of it. I got selected. And it was one of those things where we knew we were going to war.
Yes.
And I basically was like, how do I get these guys to become my teammates and then watch my back as we go to combat? And, you know, I think that as the group of people, it made it pretty easy for me because I had terrible leadership. Yeah. My chief was awesome. My LPO ended up becoming a coward in combat. Like, he basically stopped coming out of his room 2 months before we came home from Mosul. Yeah. My OIC was relieved. And, you know, my sister platoon officers were awesome. They stepped up and they basically became the officers of both platoons. And I saw people grow and I saw people fail. Yeah. And I was pushed into a leadership role. And it was that basically like, hey, it's your turn to swing the bat, swing it. And I just was like, man, this is real. Yes. This is real right now. Like, people can die. And I wanted to find a way to how to motivate my guys and protect my guys and stand up for my guys and do all the things in that moment that I didn't like other leaders had done. Yes. Right? And, you know, I took some lumps for it, you know, but the biggest thing is I wanted my guys to know that I had their back 1,000%. Yes. And, you know, I probably did it because I was much younger then, way too hard back then. Like, I stood up way too much. I probably should have handled it differently, but hey, man, that was what it was, you know? Sure. And then I left there, and, you know, a few years later, I was doing the gym thing. Yeah. You know, in between there, I was part of another team where nothing but, you know, I didn't really like the leadership. Right. It was very selfish type of leadership, very me, all about money. And those guys got promoted because they were buddy with the client. And I remember sitting in the periphery like, you know, why not me? Yeah. And what I realized is that I'm not a good smoozer, not a good ass kisser. That's not my style. No. And my style conflicted with that. And so I didn't get those promotions till the very end, you know, when those other guys are gone. And I watched these guys fail. Like, hey, they schmooze, and they leave. Schmooze, and leave. And I learned again. When I went to open the gyms, it was purely by accident. Shit. Purely by accident. I was the fattest guy in the team. I've always had that, right? Hey, short little fat guy, you should go become CrossFit certified. Yeah. Okay. Oh, not just any CrossFit. Like, it's biggest CrossFit fucking gym in the world, man. Yeah, it was big. The last one, yeah. And you know, the very first clients I trained were my wife and my kids. Wow. I had no idea how to train anybody but a SEAL. You know, and here I am trying to train my wife, and, you know, my wife's this beautiful soul. My kids were little at the time, and we go to 24-hour fitness. We get kicked out of 24-hour fitness. The guy's like, you're not allowed to train here. I'm like, I'm training my wife and kids. And it just another learning lesson. Like, that guy's a douche. I don't want to be around that type of people. So we went to the park, started training. Next thing you know, other people started joining us. And it was like mostly women. Yeah. Well, I have no clue how to talk to women. Right. And so I had to learn, like, hey, you can't say the F word. You can't talk about other things around women, you know, and I couldn't be a dick to them. Sure. Even though it's like, that's the part that makes sense. Because as a SEAL, you just do it right now. Right. Yeah. And I had to learn to talk, and it was these learning progressions as I went. And I remember, like, when women would come and cry. Yeah. And these are the biggest moments in my life when I would have women come to me and say, you know, my husband told me I was beautiful today. Yeah. And I would just sit there like, I didn't really get it. And they were like, well, you changed my body. Yeah. I got fit. Now my husband thinks I'm beautiful. Yeah. And it was just really blown away, but I had a really hard time. Like, people complimenting him, like, oh, my receiving God, it, right? Oh, yeah, dude. It's, you know, it wasn't my gig. And I got into the gym stuff, and, you know, I loved every bit about it, man. I loved that. I loved freaking working with people.
Yeah.
I loved taking kids who couldn't jump 6 inches, and next thing you know, they're doing 24-inch box jumps. I loved taking old ladies who couldn't even barely walk, and now they're squatting. And I mean, I loved it.
Yeah.
And I got sucked in. I got sucked into the ego of I'm so great, you know, training high level athletes, and I started growing the business, and it moved me away from being a coach, what I loved and what I was really good at. And you know, lots of learning lessons along the way. But what I really learned along the way was I was really good at being me, and either the clients liked me and they stayed, or they didn't like me and they literally went next door.
You know, hearing your stories multiple times and witnessing in the past 3 years and a half your life, and you know, the roller coaster that it has been in the past 3 years and a half, extremely difficult. Perhaps the two most difficult events of your life happened in the past 3 years and a half, which I happen to be a witness of. The you know, the announcement of the cancer for your wife, and the loss of you know, the teammates in the helicopter accident. And I'll allow you to talk about that as we continue our conversation. But having gone through that and having always been a witness of that, I think the power of Dan, yes, you're a fucking warrior. There's no fucking doubt in that. And the best of the best. You're a dad, you're a husband. But the power of Dan has always came from him being Dan, meaning that, man, you stand up. You stand up for what you believe. And there's that you've paid the fucking price of standing up for guys, your teammates, your, you know, the kids that you've coached. And you're like, you stand up for the thing, and you know that it's going to take away money from you. It's going to take away status from you. It's going to take away, some people are going to judge you and hate you, and the newspaper are going to write a bunch of shit about you. But it doesn't change who you are, which is at the foundation of it. You're a stand-up type of guy. You stand up for something, so you don't just fall in for anything.
No, you know, I remember being a kid and nobody standing up for me ever. And every now and then my brother would be back around. My brother would stand up for me. And, you know, obviously you learn to fight, you learn to defend yourself. But I remember you know, what some people know, it's kind of, the story's kind of gone away over time, but my SEAL career didn't end good.
Yeah.
Right? My SEAL career didn't end the way I wanted it to. I had a great career, did all the things, fought war, whatever, and then basically I was put on trial.
Yeah.
For doing the job I was told to do, just like what happened to Eddie Gallagher. The same Eddie Gallagher situation happened to me.
Exactly.
Just there was no Facebook back then, obviously.
Yeah.
And I remember them coming to me like, plead guilty and we'll give you 12 years. You know, plead guilty and we'll just give you a bad conduct discharge, loss of rank, and just 12 years, man. It's cool. Just plead guilty. I'm like, I didn't do anything. You know, this guy, Manad al-Jamadi, he blew up the Red Cross. We went to capture him. He and I got in a hand-to-hand fight, and boo-hoo, he fucking died.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, whatever, right? And they're like, well, he died during interrogation. I'm like, I know, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to say who was there, right?
Right.
They didn't want to say, oh, the CIA was there, and that's who freaking killed him during interrogation. They were like, oh, SEALs killed him.
Yeah.
And so they lumped all the blame on us. And because, you know, any job, just because a guy has a certain title doesn't mean he's a good guy. So we got abandoned, plain and simple. We got hung out to dry. And little by little, as their story eroded, so did the pressure they put on me. So it went from 12 years in jail to 2 years in jail. And literally, when it went to 2 years in jail, like, just plead guilty and you'll get 2 years. I'm like, bro, I'll just go get big. Like, I'm never going to plead guilty. It's just not going to happen. And so I had to learn how to defend myself, because the Navy lawyer they gave me was literally the worst Navy lawyer. She actually got kicked out of the Navy right after my trial, right? She gave me like all kinds of super secret documents.
Yeah.
Like just printed them on a regular printer or whatever. She had no idea what she was doing, you know? So I had to go hire a guy named John Tranberg. You know, God rest his soul. He died of cancer many years ago. And he defended me. But it was in that moment that I was like, if I don't do this, nobody's going to do it. I had guys in the SEAL teams who were my bros, who stood tight behind me. Ron Culpepper, you know, really, really good dudes. And I had other dudes who were like, "Hey, man,
too much
staying
for us.
away from you," you know. And all along, all of us that went through that process knew that we didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah,
we had never been to Abu Ghraib.
No,
we had never been to Abu Ghraib. Yet we were being blamed for something that happened to Abu Ghraib, right? And so next thing you know, they come back to me like, "Okay, plead guilty and rat on your friends. We'll give you 6 months." I'm like, "That's one deployment. I will never rat on anybody."
Yeah.
And I stood that ground, you know? And then finally at the very end, they're like, "Okay, dude," like literally I'm walking into my court martial. They pull me in this room like, "Okay, listen, just plead guilty to posing an unauthorized photo and using harsh verbal language in enemy detainee war and we'll give you a plea bargain, and you'll go to Commodore's Mast, which is what I wanted all the time. Like, hey, I want to be judged by SEALs.
Yes.
And so they gave me my plea bargain, and they were like, okay, now you'll testify against Lieutenant Ledford and Legg. I'm like, what am I going to say? They didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything wrong. And so, of course, my lawyer's like, they're going to get you on the stand. They're going to try to get you to flip, whatever. And so I did that. I got on the stand. They started asking me these questions. They're like, they're trying to get me to do it. I'm like, hey, listen, they didn't do anything. Lieutenant Ledford wasn't even there when it happened. Lieutenant Legg wasn't even there, on the one incident they actually tried to trump some charges on. So when it was all said and done, literally, I got busted for posing an unauthorized photo, a photo that used to hang at Group 1. NATO Special Warfare Group 1 is like a trophy photo on the quarterdeck.
Yeah.
And using harsh verbal language in enemy detaining war ×2. So I actually printed those charges up in a framed photo at my house, because hey, man, I called him a bad name twice,
Yeah.
And I remember coming home, and I was supposed to actually be leaving on deployment, right?
Yeah.
And I'm packing all my stuff. My wife looked at me. She's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I don't want to end this way. She basically put it to me. She's like, listen, you can go. We're not going to be here when you get back. And I was like, well, what do you mean? She's like, you're going to die. And these guys screwed you over. They turned their back on you. They hung you out to dry for something you didn't even do. You've proven it. And, you're going to go back and help them. And she's like, you're worth so much more. It's the first time in my life anybody told me what I was worth, right? And I remember basically ignoring her, and I was like, no, I'm going to go or whatever. And just by fate, I go to the PSD, which is Personal Support Detachment, and they're like, you have to re-enlist today. And I was like, well, no way. I'm re-enlisting in 8 days, and I'm in the Gulf because I want all this tax-free money because I spent so much money on the lawyer.
Yeah.
Nope, you got to re-enlist today. So I go to my CO, Captain VZ at the time. I'm like, hey, he tries to put me on operational hold. They're trying to get me a plane ticket to get me out of the country, all these things, and none of it would line up. And literally, basically, God didn't want me to deploy. And so I ended up saying, hey, I'm just going to get out of the Navy because by then I had a job offer,
Sure.
The guy who replaced me, his name's Troy Deal, ended up getting nobody wanted to ride in a vehicle with Troy because he got blown up so many times.
Shit.
That would have happened to me. Like, Troy lived, but Troy, he suffered a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
All that, if I was in those vehicles, I believe I would have died. And so it was my first wake-up call of okay, that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Right? That didn't end the way I wanted to, but the whole entire time I knew I didn't do anything wrong, and I was not about to ever rat on my bros.
I wanna paint the image a little bit here, Dan. When you stand there and you say, no, that's not what happened, it's not as easy as you declared here. There's all this pressure, man.
Much, yeah.
There's all this pressure of, just for, because this is really important. For a second, there's a man and a decision on what he's standing. We have to paint the picture that among what pressure you're standing there.
Well, it's
so much pressure.
The great thing is that what Eddie Gallagher went through, right?
Yes. I was a witness of that.
You can see that's what I went through, but there was no Facebook.
No Facebook, so nobody to back you up.
So I have NCIS guys sitting outside my house. I can know they're tapping my phone. I know that they're reading my emails. They're following me. I know that people are trying to get me to say something on recordings. Because I'm not stupid, right? I have other people calling me like, hey, bro, don't talk to that dude. Hey, dude, just so you know, this is what they're trying to get you on. And I'm just like, hold on. I was never at Abu Ghraib, right? That was the whole thing. All those Abu Ghraib photos came out.
And then your wife and the kids and the stress.
And the bad thing is the exact same thing happened to Gallagher happened to me. We had a freaking chicken shit rat coward basically getting kicked out of the teams for stealing. We kicked him out, and his defense was, well, if you kick me out, I'll tell everybody what we did at Abu Ghraib. Instead of the command going, oh, he's a rat coward. No, we'll believe him, make him our star witness, and 14 of his SEALs will go on trial for it. And that's exactly what happened to Eddie. 4 cowards refused to go on missions. Here's a decorated #1 sailor on the West Coast, and the command, in their infinite wisdom, believe the cowards. Nobody's addressed that part yet. 4 guys who refuse to go on missions, and they basically try the other guys. And so it was a big wake-up call for me, man. It really showed me that the military is a job. Yeah. It's a great brotherhood. I'm brotherhoods my bros.
Yes.
But in the end of the day, it's a job.
Yeah.
And
a job that you were pretty damn fucking good at.
Yeah, it was a job that I loved.
You're like a pro, like a warrior, like at heart, skills.
That stuff was easy for me, I love shooting. I'd never have to practice it.
Yeah.
Guys like, oh, you lose. I don't ever lose it. I can pick up a gun. I can always shoot. Just those skills that I've always done, observation skills. I've just never.
And the mindset of a warrior is something that you've grown up with. You had to. The
Yeah.
survivals that, like you were talking about today, like all the times you burn, you've been hospitalized, you've been frozen, like all the time you've been, like it was a war
Yeah.
growing up.
Well, when I went to Buds and guys would quit, they're like, "Oh man, it's cold. I'm hungry. Whatever." I'm like, "Bro, I ate one meal a day growing up.
Yeah.
Sometimes I didn't have a bed. Sometimes I was homeless. My mom was the hardest person on me, both physically and mentally.
Yes.
So when I got there, I'm like, this is nothing, dude. You should grow up my old lady,
Yeah.
And when it comes time to physical mental abuse, I that's what I was indoctrinated to from the childhood,
Sure.
right? Which will lead me into what I do now, right? Now I understand those things. So I learned that, and it taught me a lot. It broke my heart.
Yeah.
And that was probably the first
man.
time that I ever fell deep and dark, but
Abandoned.
because everything that I knew was the SEAL teams. That's all I knew.
But also the cause that you fought for so much, to have a group of coward like violating the same cause.
Yeah.
The flag, the freedom, everything.
In my group, it was just one coward.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I mean, but also the cowards are cowards supporting cowards.
Correct.
If
Yes.
you support a coward, like by default, you're a fucking coward too.
Absolutely. And that's the one part about, guys will, read it in the movies, etc. The SEAL teams are a job. We have great people and we got some bad people too. And just like any job, you don't judge. What happens with certain sometimes is the entire organization is judged because of a few actions.
That is true.
And you're just like, hang on, man. Like the rest of us didn't do those
No.
things,
Yeah.
So, I learned a lot though. It taught me how to protect myself, and really when it comes to standing up for people, I just don't have a problem doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just not. Ever
I mean,
gonna
that
bend
showed
over
again in
now.
your life as a career as a coach, and again coaching, successful coach, football coach, and once again you stand up for a kid, and as a result of it, it's like every time you put some food in your hand and you put it in their mouth, they fucking bite on it, man.
Yeah, I started coaching for Bellevue High School.
Yeah.
Best football team in the nation, arguably, right? We traveled all over the country, played the best teams, beat them. They made a movie about us beating De La Salle. Greatest experience of my life. Butch Goncharoff is this magnificent man, right?
Yeah.
I learned so much about patience, about how to work with kids. He's a man of very few words. He doesn't use whistles at practice, doesn't yell at the kids. You're only allowed to talk for 30 seconds, make your point, teach one thing per day. Practice hard because games are celebrations. And I learned that. So we had a kid come through the program. His dad was not a good guy, convicted felon. And so myself and another guy named Connor Morwenna, we took the kid under our wings. It was our position. So for 3 years, we basically had our arm around this kid, doing everything we could to help him. He was a great football player, a great high school football player.
Yeah.
He wanted to play D1. We were very honest with him. We're like, you're not D1. And so another one of our linemen had got a big-time scholarship to USC. This kid was just so jealous about it, and was just, the dad and him, why did this guy get a scholarship? Why didn't he get a scholarship? Like, hey, man, you're not D1. You're Montana, you're Montana State, you're Eastern Washington, but you're 5'10", 280. You're not going to compete against those linemen. We're trying to be very honest with them, right? And if you look at the players we put in the NFL, we knew what we were doing. We hadn't lost a game in 7 years, And so at the gym across at Bellevue, which I owned, we adopted a family through the gym to give Christmas gifts to. And it happened to be that family. And I did it anonymously. We raised money through the gym, the little bucket thing, and then we bought Christmas gifts. On my end, I gave the dad a job. Like, hey, he's out of work, convicted felon. Christmas time coming around, I'll give you a job, right? And then the final part was Butch bought them Thanksgiving dinner, and I bought them Christmas dinner. So now, fast forward one whole year, we decided we're going to kick the kid off the team.
Yeah.
We catch him doing some really, really messed up stuff, right? And I don't want to say his name because he's still alive, and his dad's shit isn't his shit. So he's starting down that path. But long story short, we decided we're going to kick a kid off the team. We don't want him as part of our program. Too many. He broke a kid's jaw on our team. He was abusing a mentally handicapped kid on our team. We caught him on video.
Yeah.
And the school's like, can't kick him off the team. We're a no-cut team. But we're like, hang on, this kid is a bad
happening,
kid, man, and he's causing a lot of issues. Nope. The entire senior class goes to the principal. We want him off the team. Nope. So here we are. We're like, okay, we're not going to play him. Well, the dad's basically like, if you don't play him, I'm going to go to the press. And I'm going to tell them, because everybody wanted to know we were cheaters, right? Because why is Bellevue win? Why is everybody else lose? Why we win is it's Seattle, it's raining, and wind's blowing 50 miles an hour. You guys throw, we run.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to beat you. So, it's not rocket science, right? And so the dad goes to the press, and Seattle Times eats it up, and they call us cheaters, everything you can think of. You can read about it, my name in particular. And so when they brought me in, again, under investigation, did you do this? Did you do that? I'm like, yeah, and I would do it again. I helped a family in need. I gathered donations to help this kid get some Christmas gifts. I bought them Christmas dinner. I gave the kid $200 in tips that were from my coaches. Yeah, here's an envelope so you can feed your family and have some money in your pocket. well, that's against the laws, enticement. I don't give a shit about your rules.
That's a law of humanity.
That family needed help, and I will help them all day long. Well, a few months later, hey, we're firing you for illegal enticement, recruiting, whatever. I'm like, how did I illegally recruit? The kid was already on our team for 3 years.
Yeah.
I was trying to kick him off, actually. Well, you did. You broke the rules. I had no hearing. I was just told the verdict. And so that was the end of it. And I'm sitting there like, hold on, man, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Of course, then they come back to me and they're like, hey, if you testify against Butch Gontroff and Pat Jones, we'll reinstate you as a coach.
Same fucking scenario,
Same exact
man.
scenario. Just tell us what they did. I'm like, they did nothing wrong. They did nothing wrong. They've helped so many kids. Well, if you do, I will never in a million years rat on anybody to save my own neck.
Same scenario
Same
shows
scenario.
up differently.
It's just cowards. That's how coward people get through life. Is they want somebody to blame. They don't want the real answer.
What was Dan? What was your advice from your wife when this happened? Did she put it together? It's like, Dan, this is happening again, bro.
Yeah, she put it together. She was just like, because I go to her with everything. Like,
of course.
Like, hey, this situation. She's like, fuck them. My wife. She's just like, don't. Yeah. Because I told her, I'm like, I may never coach again. She's like, then don't. And and I sat there and I was like, it was never a second thought whether I was gonna like make up some story to get myself back into coaching for $6,000 a year.
Yeah,
like I really want to lose my integrity for $6,000 a year.
And it hurt again, man.
It hurt very bad.
Because you love that.
Yeah. The caveat to the story is we get cleared of everything.
It
takes a year and a half to get cleared.
Okay.
Butch Gontroff, Pat Jones win a massive settlement against the state of Washington that, of course, is this big in the paper. And the kid that we tried to kick off the team shoots himself in the ass for trying to pull a gun on somebody or put a gun away. We don't know. We just know the gunshot wound went straight down. So, of course, me being a jerk, I texted the Seattle Times like, hey, here's your star witness. Look at what you did. You called us cheaters and liars.
Yeah.
Here's your star witness, shot himself in the ass. Shit. And so, I get comical relief from it
Yeah.
every now and then, But it hurt, man.
Yeah,
it
man.
hurt, and that had just happened. When it comes to the helicopter getting shot down, all those guys on there were from SEAL Team 7.
Yes.
They were my bros. They all went to Dam Neck and they all died. And
how long was that after the
football thing was about a year later.
A year later?
Yeah,
okay,
a
so
year and a half
before
later.
that, the thing happened.
Yeah. And so
what happened exactly? Like I think you were at some ranch.
Yeah,
or?
so I had taken a private client of mine.
Yes.
He's a original Microsoft guy, billionaire guy, and he asked me to take him out and teach him survival skills.
Yes.
So we went up the Pittler Mountains over 5 days, 50 miles, great time. We had this awesome time. We came off
Everything
the mountain.
great.
Yeah, one of my buddies who works for the agency now,
Yes.
we were together. And as we're eating breakfast next morning, across the thing, it says helicopter gets shot down, no survivors. And then throughout the day, we're watching it, and then the names started coming. And then it was Navy SEALs, and then it was Rob Reeves, Jonas Kelsel, just JT Tomlinson. God, I get emotional just thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
And I remember, like, just in shock, just like completely in disbelief because, Rob Reeves is my point man. Heath Robinson was one of my bros. All these guys, they were all my friends, Jonas Kelsel. I mean, Chris Campbell, so many guys that died
at
in
once
an instant. And I just, what the fuck, And I remember just like falling into this pit for months.
Yeah, man.
And I decided, I knew I was going down a really dark place, whatever. And I was like, I needed to do something. And so I did an Ironman. And I raised a bunch of money for the Navy SEAL Foundation. And I became an ambassador for the Navy SEAL Foundation. And that was my first or second foray into fundraising. But I climbed out of that hole, right? I climbed out. I'm like, okay, man, I'm back. I'm good. And I was down there for a while. The training for the Ironman, basically 6 months, full-time job. I completely just shut down everything else, and that was my job. And I just cried, man. I cried and I cried. And
as a guy that has been in the front line, in the war zone, and fighting a cause, every time there's this kind of incident and there's this kind of injustice that happens at the edge. Let's call it at the edge, right? The front line. It just hurts 1,000 times more because there you are involved in like fighting for the cause. Now you're out of it, but your heart still fights for the fucking cause, man.
Yeah. And I was doing everything I could to be part of the SEAL teams. I was training kids. I still train kids today.
You still do, of course, to make them successful.
We've had a lot of kids, right? And so the only thing I could do was raise money for the guys, for the families.
Yeah.
And, I'm glad I did because I don't know if I would be alive today had I not done something. And so training for that Ironman, the hours and hours I put into it that was counseling for me. Right. And it made me feel like I was a SEAL again because my body was pretty broken up from getting the explosion that had hurt me. That happened earlier. A lot of things.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of surgeries.
I got
right?
one story I want to talk about. Okay. At the end.
I had a lot of surgeries to fix myself, and the Ironman was kind of the caveat to me getting back in this really crazy shape, and understanding what I want to do in long runs and long swims and long bike rides, and it was just therapy for me. And then the football thing happened, a year later.
A year later.
And it was just another massive casket on my head. Like literally, my head is in the seal of the casket, and the only thing stopping it was my skull. Right?
And meanwhile, obviously, you've always been a man, and you've always been an entrepreneur that had focused on producing. We put you anywhere, and you're able to put anything together and up and go. You're producing, right? Tremendous amount of success in business, and also lost multiple businesses in the process, including the biggest gym that we talked about, the biggest CrossFit gym in the world, and ultimately, nothing as you referred to it, none of this shit mattered until the last fucking baseball beating that you got.
Yeah. So when the helicopter got shot down, I went to a pit and I climbed my way out.
Yeah.
When the football thing got happened, I went into a pit and I was climbing my way out, and then things in business started happening. Nothing that was fault of anybody. The city of Bellevue came and seized our parking lot.
Yeah.
Right at eminent domain. So that's 300 parking spaces in Seattle. That's millions of dollars.
Yes.
So we went from 300 parking spaces to 6. Excuse me. That hurt us badly.
Yeah.
We tried to dig out. We had a lady run across a gym on her cell phone, break her nose, lawsuit. We win the lawsuit, but legal bills. Right.
Right.
Like you name those kind of issues, we had them. And so it just punches in the face. Like, God, and my wife's like, we need to sell this. We need to sell it. We need to sell it. And of course, me, because I'm stupid. I'm like, nope. I built this gym from a set of dumbbells and med ball. I can make it work.
Emotional.
Making it work. And there was so many things telling me, get out of this business. Get out of this business. I had, people who I had paid for their certifications go open gyms like right down the street. And
man,
and back then it was like, this guy's screwing me over, et cetera. It's different now, right?
Yes.
But
still, man,
it hurts, right? It hurts because you've invested your time into people, you've given them part of your stuff, and next thing you know, they're literally
taking away your clients,
1 block away, opening a gym, and people go, "Oh, it's just business." I'm like, "No, that's not business. That's unethical.
That is not business."
And so, I didn't listen. I didn't listen to any of the signs that were happening to me. I just refused, and I refused, and the next thing I know, yeah, man, I got a baseball bat to the side of my head. God had given me 100 messages to fix myself, to change my life, to get rid of all this ego, pride, thinking about, objects of desire, et cetera, drinking. And my wife got cancer. And I don't know what happened to me, bro. I just sunk in. There was no coming back from it.
No.
And I'd always drank, and I was always a weekend drinker, Friday, Friday, Saturday. And then through the course of the year, I had this great job, 2 years, great job, lots of money. And then I started drinking on Thursday night. And then I started drinking on Wednesday night, Tuesday night. And then I was fighting to not drink on Monday night.
Shit.
Right? Fighting. The whole time my career is, I'm basically now having conflict at work with one of my managers.
Yeah.
He and I are butting heads. We used to be really good friends.
Yeah.
His name's Frank. He's an awesome guy. And he literally put his neck out for me. He should have fired me 100 times because I just didn't give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
I was so absorbed with my wife's cancer.
Yes.
So broken, but now broken because the gym's gone, football's, all
Everything.
these things, everything that I knew is gone. And here's my wife laying in bed dying. And cancer is not a fast death. It's not like getting shot. No, it's slow.
You're watching this shit.
I mean, the night that I shaved her head, it just guts me to my soul,
Yeah.
There is no greater pain than shaving your wife's head. I truly don't believe there is. And, yeah, man, that hurt me badly. And I drank. That was my way of dealing with it. I would make sure she's taken care of.
And then go drink.
And then I would go and darken the room, and I would just drink.
Disconnect.
And, I made enough money so I could drink really good stuff, and that was my excuse. Well, I make all this money. And you don't realize that once you drink, you can't become undepressed. And so now I'm getting angry. Now I'm having rage fits. Now I'm kicking shoes, breaking dishes, all the shit all the stuff that I said I would never do.
Yeah.
That I would tell guys, you shouldn't do this. Is how to be a man, how to be a father.
Right.
And here I am doing it. And it was slow. It was little increments of this cloud digging in.
Pressure.
And so at the very end, as I literally for the first time ever, I never thought about suicide, but I basically understood why guys did it. And it was the first time ever that I could feel the gun underneath the mattress.
Shit.
Like I'm laying on it and I can feel it in the small of my back. And, you're just sitting there. And of course, in your brain, man, I mean, I have no problem admitting it because I want people to understand it. I literally was like, my family would be better off without me because I was completely non-functional. My relationship with my children was bad. My relationship with my wife was bad. I'm not doing anything, practicing anything when I preach. I literally have made a fool of myself with alcohol. I have created this persona around alcohol that I am better than everybody. I literally, utterly ruined my life.
Yeah.
And I drank and I drank and I drank, right? At the very end, my buddy Grant Dawson saved my life. And I just truly believe Grant Dawson, God bless his soul, incredible man. He asked me to research a therapy. And what's funny is I tried to research it, but I couldn't read or write at that time. My brain just didn't work. So my wife, laying in bed with cancer, researched the therapy. And I had never done drugs, right?
Yeah.
So at the very end of my alcoholism, I'm smoking weed because that's the way justify that I don't have to drink 2 bottles of booze a night. If I smoke weed, I don't have to drink 1 bottle. In your brains, you're so freaking messed up. Boom. So I've never smoked weed. Now I'm smoking weed basically on a daily basis because I'm just trying to calm down.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to sleep. I'm just like, fuck, I'm losing it, man. I'm losing it, right? And so I researched this thing, and it's hallucinogenic therapy. And of course, I'm like, no way. I've never done that crap. Only losers do that,
Yeah.
And so I researched it. I wrote my paper. And next thing you know, I was called in for a meeting, and I basically thought I was getting fired.
Yeah.
Like, okay, whatever, because I recommended that people do it. I'm like, this is good for some people, not me, but it's good for some people, all right? Some dudes with PTSD, they should do this. These drunks should do this, not Dan Cirillo. And so as I was there, a doctor came in, these other guys, my buddy Marcus Capone, and they started talking about the program they had been through. And I listened. But of course, I didn't listen to them because they're just dudes talking. Like,
just another man.
You're just another man. You're prey. I don't care if you're a seal or not. You're prey to me.
Yeah.
And then Marcus's wife started talking. And when Marcus's wife started talking, describing Marcus before he went to treatment, she described me. She described anger, rage, hatred, every negative thing you can become, rough during sex, vulgar, you name it, all the things that I had always prided myself that I would never do. And I remember just like, wow. And I remember taking a ride home with my son. It just happened around the same time. We're driving back here from Palo Alto up to Seattle, taking my buddy's truck home. And I asked my son, I'm like, hey man, I want you to be honest with me. Like, tell me the truth. And it's my youngest son, my baby, And it took him a long time, hours. And finally he's like, I'm like, because I'm lecturing him about football, whatever. And I'm like, why don't you be honest? He's like, Dad, I hate football. I'm like, what do you mean you hate football? He's like, that's all you ever talk about. That's all you're obsessed with. He's like, I hate it. I hate everything about it because all you do is talk about it. It's all you care about. And I was like, and he laid into me. Yeah. Like, he didn't pull any punches, man. He wasn't mean, but he's just like, that's all. You don't give a shit about the family, nothing. You care about football, not even fired. You're just miserable, etc. And man, it just gutted me because I always prided myself on being a great father,
Yeah.
And the things he said were true. And he's like, you used to be the fire in my life, Dad, and now you're just burnt coal. You come in, you get pissed off, the shoes aren't right, if there's dishes on the counter, you grab your fucking drink and you go up to the theater and you just drink. And man, I listened, and I remember going home and, you listen because I wasn't drinking, I was driving, right?
Yeah.
And which is, 12 hours being sober is a big deal,
It actually goes in.
Yeah, I got home and it's like 6 a.m. and I wake my wife up. I'm like, I want you to, be honest with me. Like, how am I? And she's straight up, man. She's laying there, she's bald the whole gig. She's like, I would have left you a long time ago. She's like, if it wasn't for these kids, I would have divorced you. She's like, you're horrible. She's like, you have sex with me like I'm a hooker. You treat me bad. All the things that you used to do to open the door for me, et cetera, all these things, you don't do any of it anymore. She's like, I would just leave you. She's like, I don't even want to be around you. You disgust me. And I remember sitting there going, hold on, man. I'm Dan Cirillo. I tell people how to live their life. Yeah. I tell people how great it is to be this great father, this great husband, et cetera.
Yeah.
And literally for the last 18 months, 24 months, it's just gone.
Everything's crashed.
It's gone. And so I called the doctor up and I'm like, hey man, I have a problem. And he goes, I know. I could smell the alcohol coming off you. I can see you're bloated. I can see your eyes are dead. He goes, all of you SEALs are all the same. He goes, you guys got turned on and nobody ever turned you off. He's like, it's okay, Dan. It's okay. I'll help you. And literally a few days later, I flew down. I'm giving the speech with you guys.
Yeah, on the stage.
And I gave the speech. And on that stage, I said, I'm asking about, raise money to help my bros and the treatment they're going to go through, et cetera. And then I was like, and I'm going this weekend.
I'll be the
going.
fifth one, I believe you said that.
I'll be the fifth guy to go through treatment.
But the first one in your kind of category and your tribe.
Yeah, and so I went as the test dummy for my friends. Yeah. The night before I go there, I'm not supposed to say this, but I went there and I didn't do the things I was supposed to do, right? I went down there as a joke. I literally took my board shorts, my snorkel, whatever. I'm like, I'll drink some beers. I'll listen to the hippies, what they have to say, whatever.
Okay.
And it's completely like Dan wasn't there.
Yeah.
As soon as I got in the van to drive down there with a guy named Bob Wheela, who's an older SEAL.
Yeah.
I couldn't even look at him, man. I couldn't look him in the eye. I just stared out the window and just cried.
Shit.
I was so ashamed of myself. I was so utterly broken and ashamed of how did I get here? How did I get from making so much money in these gyms, with Warner Brothers calling me to train their executives, Bank of America.
So many celebrities, so many people calling Dan Cerella.
Yeah, right? The state championship rings, all these accolades. How did I get here? I'm in a shitty rental van driving down to Mexico to go get therapy because I'm a drunk, right?
Yeah, you're like, what the fuck?
What the fuck happened to me, And literally that's the way I felt, man. If I could have jumped off a cliff in that moment, I would have jumped. And so we got down there. I had never been to counseling ever.
Yes.
I just refused to talk, and for some reason in that moment, I talked. And I talked to people about the way I felt, and the way I felt was I don't have PTSD from going to war.
Yeah.
I have it from not being at war.
Yeah.
Right? I have PTSD from all the other crap that has happened in my life. And the only time I was ever happy was when I was at war. That's when I was with my bros. Everything was good. It was so easy. Right? There's a bad guy, go hurt them.
That's just the only thing you had to.
It was easy, like
no other pressure.
Here's the plan. We're gonna go mess people up. Go right and fast, furious. Do whatever you got to do. Get after it. Be the aggressor. Win. Dominate, crush, demolish. Whatever it takes. Win. And we did. We were awesome, right? We were the first guys in Mosul. We freaking put a dent in people's skulls, And so you go from that. Now you're trying to just assimilate in life. Like it took me just to be a normal dude to not talk about strangling people and killing people, etc. And just to have a conversation to learn how to drink around civilians.
Yeah,
because I didn't know how to do that. I made a fool of myself all the time. So you just stop doing it or whatever. Anyway, I took 3 pills of Ibogaine.
Yeah.
I had never known what Ibogaine was. It used to be the big thing is Ibogaine was legal until methadone was legalized. So it had a 74% success rate with heroin addicts. And so they're using it now for severe PTSD and alcoholism.
Wow.
With, former veterans or veterans, can't use an active duty guys. So I took it. And for the next 36 hours, I watched pink bunnies float around the room. And, I'll literally watch the story of my life in files.
Wow.
And obviously it's controversial, whatever. And, I'm one of those guys now. I understand, there's a treatment for somebody somewhere along different paths.
Sure. That
was the one I had to do.
Sure.
Cut and dry. I was near the end. I think I was near either giving up entirely or just my body dying. All right, I was only sleeping about 45 minutes a night. I'm drinking every single day. My life is completely, utterly ruined. And for the next 36 hours, I played the story of my life out. I woke up the next morning. Why me? I went from why me to okay. I went from okay to this is just the way it is. From this is the way it is to thank you. Thank you for all this stuff that happened in my life because it's who I am now. And I went, the final phase was forgiveness.
Wow.
I forgave everybody and everything. And basically my brain became clear for the first time ever in my life. And I had a long conversation with myself. And that's all I did is I just sat there and I realized everything that's happened is because of you. The good and the bad. You want to know who to blame? You blame that dude looking in the mirror. And I've said that a long time, but it's the first time ever I just looked at it and I believed it. And I'm like, yeah, that nobody screwed you over. You let them. Nobody cheated you. You let them. All the things that I did it. I did every bit of it. I'm the one who ashamed myself. I'm the one who embarrassed myself. I did it. And I basically came to the final conclusion that every single time I did it, I was drunk. That's what alcohol did to Dan. every single embarrassing moment in my life was when I was drunk.
Alcohol was behind it.
And I mean, I've embarrassed myself,
Yeah,
bro,
man.
like to no end, right? And no problem, right? I left that therapy, and literally we're coming across the border. Guy knocks on the nose, like, Senor, tequila. And tequila is my drink, right?
Sure, yeah.
Double Don Julio on the rocks, thick slice of orange, right? And I looked at that dude straight in the eye. I go, I don't drink. I don't drink. And I've been sober since. I haven't had a craving, nothing, whatever. And so I left that with an understanding what my mission was. And so I've done these podcasts, I've done, interviews, shows, etc.
Stages.
And it's always been very, very uncomfortable for me because I did not do anything special in the war.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Right. There are heroes that should be on stage talking about the stories, not me. I was just a regular SEAL. I did nothing whatsoever. Right.
Yeah.
I got to do some missions. Much, much greater men than me should be talking about that. And so I won't. But I then understood what my mission is.
Yeah.
My mission, and which is what I've been doing ever since that day I came back, is to go find my bros who are in need. I sit with them and I talk about my experience in therapy, and I now take them and I find the money for them to go to therapy. And I get them there, and then I keep checking on them as they go. And I let them know that nothing's the matter with them.
Yeah.
They taught us how to do horrible things. They never taught us how to be normal people.
Yeah.
And now we've sent close to 100 guys there. And what people have to understand is that we're not sending kids to therapy.
No.
Every single guy is above the age of 40 and above the rank of E7. And alcoholism is crushing former SEALs. It is killing them more than any have ever died in the war. Suicide is very small in the SEAL teams. Death by alcohol is massive.
Wow.
Cancer is massive in the SEAL teams. Massive.
Shit.
And nobody talks about that, right? You talk about PTSD, et cetera. And what
So drug is low, but alcohol, because alcohol is a habitual that takes place way before all this shit.
Because remember, it's part of our culture. We
Yeah.
drink. That's what SEALs do. Every military, that's what military people do. They drink. And with the SEAL teams, remember, you are the creme de la creme. Army Rangers, the creme de la creme. Special Forces, creme de la creme. What do you do when it's over, when the crowd stops cheering? You're just like an NFL football player. The crowd stopped cheering. Who are you? Remember, these guys have been at war their whole life.
Yeah.
And then one day it's just over. You have a ceremony, you drink some beer, and it's over. Some guys go on to go work for the agency. My buddy Bruce worked at the agency, had another great career, but he killed himself in his toilet.
Yeah.
Just split his head open, and he had so much alcohol and he died. I've had so many friends, my buddy Jeff Enderlin, so many guys who died from just drinking that nobody talks about that. And I understood it.
That's why you refer to, we were talking the other day, like the 3 first step for, like, you went as number 5 and you brought in 95 other, you're at 100 right now approximately.
Yeah.
And you figure out the 3 step, and the 3 steps to do is get off alcohol at least for 4 or 5 days. Let us get you some treatment so that we can manage pain so you can fucking sleep.
Yeah.
Those 2 together, you'll be ready to go.
So what's going on right now in the treatment world, let me finish off what I was saying,
please,
right, is what happens is guys, they lose their sense of identity. It's hard for a Master Chief SEAL, a SEAL, whatever, to become business guy, right? They go to MBAs.
100%.
Right? They have MBAs, they have PhDs, but then they got to go work around regular people. And they're so they drink, right? It's their culture. They become isolated. All the things that you read about, but nobody is doing anything now. And all these foundations are opening foundations, but they're not dealing with the number one problem. The number one problem is the emotion, right? There's a whole bucket of emotion in this brain that's locked up. So it doesn't matter if you fix their body. It doesn't matter if you bring them around people. Until they release what's in their brain, they're stuck. You can do brain therapy and fix and repair the brain, but the memories. And so that's what the medication does, right? Well, what I've done is basically I've started studying how to put the therapy in order because these foundations are great.
Yeah.
These guys, people are doing wonderful things for veterans, but it's out of order.
Yes.
You can fix the body, make guys healthy, and they get a little bit better. You can do brain therapy, they get a little bit better, but you didn't get rid of the emotion. I now know what PTSD is. Every single person on earth has PTSD. You know what PTSD is? It's a backpack. And every single traumatic event, emotional event you go through your lifetime, a brick goes in that backpack, right? A brick, until you are weighted down. You're weighted down with a lifetime of emotions. And it can happen when you're 20s, your teens, somewhere in your life, it's going to happen at some point. Tough people can put more pain on them, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And then you get close to breaking. Your knees are buckling. Everything's out of control. And if you can't catch it right then and there, what's the next step? Bang. Bang or boom. Unintentional suicide is just as terrible as intentional suicide, right? Drinking yourself 2 bottles a day is unintentional suicide.
It is.
And when I got that and I understood it, everything became clear for me of what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to talk to my bros and say, listen, man, here's Dan. Here's Taco's story. You know me as a barroom brawler. You know me as a complete boozer. You know all these things. And here I am today. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I'm quiet. My life is very, very quiet. I hardly watch TV. I read the Bible, and all the things that we said we would do and we try to do now, because my brain is clear, I can actually meditate. Check that out. Like I used to make fun of people, right? And I can close my eyes and meditate. I can sit in a room quietly. I can work for hours and hours. And the biggest thing, Sam, I sleep.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so I left PTSD therapy, alcohol therapy, and then I went to stem cell therapy.
Yes.
Right? Why stem cell therapy is illegal, I don't understand it. Because I did it. I did the liposuction version. They injected in my shoulders, my hips, my back. I have no pain. I take no aspirin, no ibuprofen, nothing. I take nothing for pain, whereas every morning I woke up and ate a handful of Motrin every single morning, right?
Because of the pain.
I drank vodka to get rid of the pain. I did all these things to null the pain. I have no pain. I have no pain. It's a great therapy. I was lucky. The timeforahero.org sent me to therapy. It was great. My whole body is better. My brain, they did a blood transfusion of stem cells. It went directly in my brain. I feel like I'm on Adderall all the time. I can work for hours and hours. I can drive. I don't get angry. I can sleep 8-10 hours a night. And when guys stop sleeping, they can no longer process, right? It slowly gets worse and worse and worse. Yeah. So after I got into that and started helping people, this brilliant man came to me. I actually went to him and I said, hey, man, how do I get my friends in your beds? You own the biggest addiction treatment centers in the world. How do I get my friends in your empty beds? He's like, well, we don't have VA stuff. We don't have TRICARE, et cetera. I'm like, okay, how do I help you?
Yeah.
And we started talking. And we started up a conversation named Michael Cartwright, right? You want to do a podcast to that guy.
Absolutely.
He's the owner of American Addiction Centers, and we start talking back and forth. And my whole goal is I want to get veterans in your company to get guys help, because not everybody's going to have access to the special, experimental programs.
Yeah, okay.
Right? They're dangerous.
Yeah.
Right? They're not for everybody. I want everybody to know that I do not recommend the treatment I went through for everybody.
Got it.
You need to have doctors screen you. You got to make sure you
this is doctor procedures.
This is doctor procedures. It wasn't like I went to some shaman and I went to a doctor, multiple doctors. I got my heart checked. I got all these things checked before I went to that treatment. But if you are one of those people who you don't fit in that category, American Addiction Centers has massive centers, right? And over the course of a few months, as he and I started talking, he's like, why don't you just come work here? Well, at the time, I'm working for the third richest man on earth. I got a great job. We've created a humanitarian team, completely nonprofit, privately funded. We're doing great things. I'm hiring my friends. I have no reason to leave. And he just, basically is like, you have carte blanche to create this program to help your friends.
Shit.
And my only stipulation was, okay, who do I answer to? He's like, who do you want to answer to? I want to answer to you and you only. Done. That was it. We didn't talk about salary. We didn't talk about anything. Who do I answer to? You answer to me, and I'm like, because all I know how to do is get things done.
Yeah.
Yep. Everybody will stay out of your way, get these veterans into these clinics, and get them help.
Wow.
I now work there.
Yes.
I'm the chief of staff for American Addiction Centers, and I spend all day long on the phone or getting guys to treatment. We've put in SEALs who have been through the program I've been through. We call them sober escorts. We send them to pick up kids, adults who need to go to treatment, and they're struggling to go. We send Navy SEALs to pick them up, talk to them, explain their story.
Wow.
Hey, I too was struggling. All I want to do is help you. And we fly our clients to treatment. At our treatment centers, they're treated like guests of hotels. They're not convicts. We want our clients to know we're here to take care of you. We're here to help you. We're here to make you better. And I have found a passion for my life, Sam.
Yeah.
I have found meaning to my life. I had meaning as a football coach. I had meaning as a SEAL, but none of it compares to what I'm doing now. I speak to our clients. I go in there and I tell my story.
Yeah.
And I let them know, man, this is the level you can climb to, and this is how deep you can fall.
Yeah.
And do something. Don't give up. Ask for help. Our whole life we've been told, especially the SEAL team, suck it up, be toughing it out, don't cry, et cetera, et cetera. Man, that's all wrong. That's all wrong. right?
Yeah.
Because men have emotion, women have emotion.
Yeah.
We need to express emotion. We need to have interpersonal communication. We need to hug each other.
Absolutely.
You know? Because when you go to war and you do horrible things, if you don't come back and talk about it and get that crap out of your soul, it's going to crush you. It's going to build up.
Backpack.
And I want to make sure you understand why this is so passionate for me. And I want everybody in this podcast to understand this. The veteran epidemic is 22 suicides per day. It is going to double and triple in the coming years if we don't do something about it. Why? What was yesterday? September 11th. So in 2 years will be the 20th anniversary of September 11th. So every person that joined the military because of September 11th will be coming to retirement in the coming time.
True.
Their careers will be over. 20 years of fighting war. Who are they? Who are they? They're Dan Cirillos.
Yes.
They're going to try to assimilate back into life, but they've been embedded in a culture of drinking. They've been embedded in a culture of adrenaline, action,
disconnection,
go, secrecy, and then it's over.
Secrecy is a big one, Dan.
And then it's over. And right now, the VA is broken, cut and dry.
Clear.
VA is broken. I literally on the phone with him yesterday, basically like, why would I ever come back to an appointment? It took me 3 months to get an appointment with you, right? Right now, we have a president in office who actually is doing some shit to help guys. He is letting guys go get treatment outside the VA. There's 2 separate programs. Both those programs are approved by our centers. Right now, we had better do something about this epidemic, or it's going to. It's literally people don't get what's going to happen. You know, a Navy SEAL commits suicide. It's a big deal. Well, what about all the other guys?
Absolutely.
Right? Right now, all the funding, all these foundations are all geared towards special operations. Yeah, we've seen a lot of combat, but so is 10th Mountain Division.
Yeah.
So is the 1st Infantry. So have all those, junior Marines, man.
100%.
And their careers are going to come to an end. And what are you going to do?
So for our audience listening, right? And if think people want to know more, what are some of the places they can reach out to know more about this? Like the American Addiction.
American Addiction Centers, .com. There's so many places you can read about. We have like 88,000 pages of material on addiction and PTSD, etc.
And is there a way for them to contact and get in touch with people that can help them on this?
Yes.
So
there's actually there's numerous hotlines.
Hotlines, okay.
And the biggest.
So AmericanAddiction.com is the place to go.
AmericanAddictionCenters.com.
Yeah. Pick up the fucking number. If you're hearing this right now and this is something that you've been struggling for years, just give it a try. Call them up at least.
The biggest thing too is, I think that on your own, everybody wants to quit drinking, to quit taking drugs, whatever. It's impossible.
It is.
There's such a few, very small, minute people that can do it. But if you go get help and you literally just take a break, like you put your phone away, you go someplace where people are there to love you, take care of you. You don't got to worry about eating. Everything is done for you, and you can just be you.
Yeah.
Man, it works.
So,
right?
Out of all the wars you fought, and of all the struggles in life, the most significant and the most important war that you fought was during those 36 hours.
Yeah. So my life, here's the deal is I went down there believing that I had PTSD from the war or not being at war. That's what I thought.
Sure.
What I understand now is that all those things that I made fun of growing up, daddy issues, mommy issues, suppression, I thought was a gimmick and it's all true.
Yes.
All the trauma that came out of my brain during they called the journey was all childhood.
Yeah.
One of the biggest memories that came out for me was my house burnt down and my dog got trapped inside. And so for about 20 minutes, I had to listen to her die. As she's running around the house screaming, yelping. And I was 8 years old, right? I didn't know how much that affected me. One of the other biggest traumas that came out for me is, obviously I pride myself on being a father. My oldest son, Dominic, I'm trying to teach him how to ride a bike. He's about 3 or 4 years old. And we're riding along. We live in Imperial Beach, and all of a sudden he just starts screaming.
Yeah.
He's screaming. He jumps off the bike. He doesn't want anything to do with that bike anymore. And I'm like, I'm 23 years old.
Yeah.
You pussy, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And, I'm throwing the bike. I'm pissed.
Yeah, yeah.
Walk home, we have to walk home a mile. He's crying. We get home, and my wife's like, hey, look at his leg. A huge spider had bit him. Let me tell you how much, not only did that come out during my journey of what a terrible person I am, my son didn't ride a bike till he's 23 years old, right? Childhood trauma is real.
Man, yes, it is.
Childhood trauma is absolutely real. What those emotional issues you go through life are real. And too many times people are told, suck it up, this and that, blah, blah, blah. You be good. Just think about it. You know, when I came back from Mosul, I came back and I was honest.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, man, there's something going on in my brain.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy with an event that had happened there.
Yeah.
And I went to the counselor and I said, hey, I don't feel good. I don't feel good about what happened. And I'll be honest, what happened. I killed an innocent man.
Yeah.
Okay. We told he was a bad guy. We went after him. He died. I'm the one that killed him. And 2 days later, they're like, I was the wrong dude. It was just wrong dude. And I wish they would have never told me that.
Yeah.
And so when I came home from deployment, I went to the counselor and I'm like, hey, we only had one counselor on the entire West Coast. And I said, hey, man, I don't feel good about what I did. And this is a long time ago, so I don't blame him. But he literally said, go get some Motrin and go to the gym.
What the fuck?
Okay, I'll go to the gym, right? That's what I did. And that was like the last time I ever talked about it. And I remember like I would see his face. You know, I did a lot of stuff in Iraq, right?
Yeah.
I would see that guy's face over and over again, and it haunted me. And I understand that people, if you suck it up too long and push it too deep, it does not go away.
It does not go away.
It does not go away, man. And it's going to come out eventually in forms that are not good. You're going to drink it away, snort it away, smoke, whatever it's going to take. You're going to rage it away. I don't know. There's so many ways that people outlet it. But as I have started to learn about chemical reactions, hormonal reactions, etc., I've learned so much about how the human brain is so finite and how things can affect it, but also how you can repair it.
Yeah.
Right? There's so much stigma about, you know, certain medications, certain drugs, et cetera, but it's like, hold on, bro. We'll dope a guy up to make him basically be numb, but we won't let him take a freaking shroom to release his brain. Yeah. You know,
the reality is, Dan, what you're mentioning is, you know, a lot of shit happens to us as we're young. A lot of shit happens when we're old. These are dramas or tragedies, but our brain has a way to suck it up, right? Yeah. Like it sucks it in. Some people call it the subconscious, but it goes in a place where we don't necessarily think about it. Or after a while, we don't want to think about it because it's, and then years goes by and the shit is still there. We are still, our habits and patterns are still referring to it, but we're not aware of it, that it's there. Like we'll come at our loved ones with a screaming or with an act that is like a fucking animal, but it's fueled by a story there. Now, going to therapy and talking to psychological, like can help to bring a portion of it. But truly, if you don't remember that shit, even if somebody asks you some questions, unless they're in your fucking brain, they can't really get it out.
No.
So what the medication does, it's like it plays a mini movie of historical events about you.
A maxi movie. So
shit.
It's funny, right? Because I talk about this now.
Yeah.
With counseling, you go to counseling, you chip away at the bricks that are in the backpack. You may even remove one or two bricks. You may even close the flap.
Sure.
This medication I took, I emptied my backpack.
Boom, 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 boom.
I emptied my backpack. When I got done with that therapy, I had 3 bricks left in my backpack. And over the course of the year, I probably about to have a quarter of a brick left. Like, I am famous for road rage. Like, famous. I follow people home, right? You can cut me off in traffic right now. I'm like, I don't care. That is not even part of my psyche anymore, man. I drive, I listen to classical music. My life is so quiet and calm, not because I decided to do it. That medication helped me just go.
But, you know, the observation is the following. You are 100% you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel, dude, I don't fucking feel any difference energetically. Because when we talk about medication, some people may think, oh, well, that numb you down. No, motherfucker, that not numb you down. Wow. You and I just drove not too long ago in this crazy place that we went for reckless driving, and we won the, I won the...
Bondurant Racing Tool, yeah.
I won the Cone Award, the Cone Crash Award. And we had so much fun doing that. And yet there is absolutely nothing different about you. Like, it's not like you are just putting in practice what you've learned for years in the military, which was create order and chaos. Now you're doing that in life overall, not just in a situation.
Yeah. What's funny is this will sound weird, but I got to make sure I say it is.
Yeah.
I could tell my life was in chaos by my closet, right, and my workbench in my garage. You go in there now, you're like, dude, you in the military or what? It is perfect. But that's my life.
Yeah.
And before I couldn't have order. I couldn't do it, man. It was just gone. Everything that was trying to be order was chaos. Without order, there's just chaos. Now my life is just very order. And the big thing for me is I don't rush at anything.
No.
And everybody's like, man, you get so much work done. I'm like, I'm not even really trying that hard.
Yeah, I witnessed that.
You know?
You get a lot done.
I get a ton done. Like I work 12 hours. I get up in the early
You communicate
morning.
with everyone. Things happen.
Like,
everything.
You've been to my events, right?
Yeah.
I'll pat myself a little bit on the back. I got
Yeah.
a great team, but we do a lot of stuff.
Shit, we do a lot of fucking
And
stuff.
that's just easy for me now. It's just so easy. Like my brain, I'm 20 steps ahead all the time.
You are.
And I know everything that's going to happen. I've already planned for it. All the things that the SEAL teams tried to teach me that I got about 80% good at.
Yeah.
Now that 20% is super easy.
Fuck yeah.
Everything is just so clear and conscious. And the biggest thing, nobody notices a difference with me unless I tell them. The biggest thing, they're like, man, you smile a lot now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what was I before? They're like, you didn't smile. You frowned.
Yeah.
And I think about that now, and every now and then I'll catch myself like, I'm like, whoa, that's a conscious effort to make the frowny face.
Yeah.
You don't have to try to make a smiley face.
Yeah.
You have to try to make a frowny face.
Yeah. Yeah, that is
And
true.
you have to physically try.
Yeah.
So to just have a normal, relaxed face,
Yeah.
you don't have to try to do that.
Yeah.
And what I found out was my entire life, I've always,
Oh, yeah.
that was just me, like sunglasses on, headphones on, asshole molded full effect. And I'm like, whoa, why are you being a jerk?
Right.
And, Chris Smith, Chris is my coach, right?
Yes.
Don Hasselback is my coach. And Chris Smith told me something that has made a massive impact in my life. Make 7 people smile per day. And I go out of my way to just try to be pleased and thank you. Everybody expects me to be Taco, right? The guy who used to throw things, smash things, tell people to go fuck them.
Yeah.
That is not my gig anymore, man.
No.
That is not my gig.
No.
My gig.
Although that guy can show up in training mode.
Yeah,
Let's just be
in training
because it's a character in training.
Yeah, and that's one thing.
You don't want to meet that guy.
Yeah, that's one thing I have to do now is that is a character that
Of
I
course.
play, but that used to be something that was me.
Yes.
Remember when Heath Ledger did Joker, right?
Yeah,
They said Heath Ledger became Joker.
Yeah, I remember that.
I became Taco.
It's true.
Taco was who ran Dan. Now Taco is a character that I bring out when I need to during training. I'm focused, et cetera, et cetera. I'm Dan.
Yeah, man.
And if anything, I'm Daniel. I'm my mom's little boy again.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to say it, man. I am proud to say that I love my life.
Yes.
I love my wife.
Yes.
I love so many things about so much. I can sit and watch birds fly. My life is so peaceful now.
Talked about your relationship right now with your wife. How is it today, versus years that it has been,
It's never been this way.
Mhm.
It is so easy. Like I've just had to do little things. Like I do things that I want her to see.
Yeah.
I put my phone and my keys away at a certain place so they're in order. I take my shoes, I put them in the cubby. I hang my jacket
Small
up
things,
on
man.
the hook instead of the staircase. I put the dishes away or I put them in the dishwasher. I go do the laundry. The things that I would men don't do that.
Yeah.
I do it now because I want her to know that I actually care for the first time. For the first time ever, I give a shit.
Yeah.
Like I care about what she thinks. It isn't, hey, this is the way life is and you're just get along for the ride.
No.
Now it's, you almost died. You almost died. What can I do to make your life better?
And this is a woman that stood by you through all of it, man.
Through all of it, man. Like why she stayed with me from the why she even married me. I was not a good person in my 20s. I wasn't, man. I was out of control. You can ask any of my friends. I'm sure there's probably videos of their floating around, everything about me was out of control. I was a drunk. I was a violent drunk. I never hurt my wife, but I had no problem hurting men.
Yeah.
Right? Men were prey.
Yeah.
And I literally, right now, I can sit here in front of you and pray to God that I never, ever harm another human being in my life again.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel. Like, you brought something up earlier. Like, why would you waste 2 hours in a political conversation?
Yeah. Remember that?
That's it, man. Like, somebody will start talking to me. I'm like, this is not worth my time.
No.
You're right. That's literally, you're right.
Yeah.
And we're good. Because
I think you've turned into a Dan that is very clear on what he wants for him. A man on a mission.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like I talked to the guys earlier.
Yeah.
I look at this from a very realistic standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 46. If I am 70 and alive, Dan will be the happiest dude on earth. So let's be very real. If I live to be 70, I'll be the happiest guy on earth. So reality is I've accepted the fact that I may only live 20 more years, right?
Yes.
I may only be alive for 20 more years. So what am I going to do? Am I going to continue to be that dude who I've been for 46 years? Abused kid, tormented kid, a violent Navy SEAL, drunk, et cetera, et cetera. Or am I going to be the dude who I've always wanted to be, who I always thought I was trying to do, for a while, this person who guided people through life, who took care of everybody around him, which is what I really strive to do all the time. And I lost my way for a while, but that's what I want, man. I want happiness through life.
Yeah.
I want to, when I go on vacation, I actually want to go sightseeing, not just go to a bar.
Yeah.
I want to go to concerts. I want to go to the movie theater.
Simple fucking things, man.
And the biggest thing I've had to do is, the biggest thing that was so easy for me to do was talk to my kids.
Yeah.
Now, everybody says they talk to kids. I actually talk to my kids. I went to my oldest daughter. I'm like, you're this amazing athlete. She won the CrossFit Games as the division, right? What do you want to do? Do you want to go play college
She's in
sports?
rugby right now. What's in rugby? Okay.
She was. What do you want to do? She's like, I want to be in Circus Soleil.
Yeah.
Okay. She goes down there, does her little tryout. Now she's in the professional program.
Dude.
She's happier than I've ever seen her before. My youngest son, he's a football player. He can play football like nobody's business.
Yeah.
You want to play college football? No, I don't, Dad.
Wow.
Well, what do you want to do? I want to go to NASCAR. He applied for it. He got accepted.
He's in.
But I've never been this happy because my kids are doing what they want to do, not what Dad wanted to do.
Yeah.
She played rugby for me. She did CrossFit for me. My son played football for me.
And they crushed it.
They didn't love it.
Yeah.
I want them to do what they love. Yeah. My oldest son, he's getting ready to start his master's program. I called him up. I'm like, I want you to move home. Why? I don't want you to have to work while you're going to school.
Yeah.
I don't want you to have to do that. I want you to practice concentrate in school. Okay, Dad. And literally, I'm like, you live at home because guess what? You were the youngest manager in Costco history.
Yeah.
You were scholarshiped academically to go to college. You didn't cost me a thing to go to college. You're wonderful. You're a straight A student. You're one of only 2 people who are left in the Mass Mutual freaking internship program out of 40.
Yeah.
You're the only 2 left.
Wow.
Son, I want you to do that.
Yeah.
You don't worry about working. I work. I make enough money for this entire family. Be a kid, man.
Yeah.
Be a kid. And I'm lucky because my kids are great.
Yes.
I've never had discipline problems. We've never had drug, alcohol issues whatsoever. Why? I don't know, because it should be.
Yeah.
Look at who the role model was, right? And I'm able to do that freedom. And now it's been so amazing in our household. There's just no drama.
No.
There's just no drama. It's very, very quiet. Whereas before we always had, there was always some kind of conflict
tension,
going.
some kind of tension,
And obviously that was the driving factor of that tension. And I come home now, sometimes there's shoes laying on the floor. I just pick them up. I put them away. The biggest thing I've done, those little practices, I put my phone down. I don't touch my phone.
Yeah.
I don't touch my phone.
And it's amazing, like what you've created at home. Obviously, what you're doing right now for me, I won't even fucking call it work, man. It's fucking mission.
It's not work at all.
Like it's not. It's just like you could be there 24 hours.
Yeah.
And you're enjoying this. There's a flow.
The thing is, I work for this amazing man.
Yeah.
This man goes in on the weekends to his call center to talk to people who are calling in want to go to treatment. This is the founder and owner of this company who sits on the phone for 12, 15 hours a day.
Because he loves what he does.
Because he loves to help people. At the company, that guy knows everybody's name.
Yeah.
The one thing, if you ever heard of Sergey Brin, I knew that dude, right?
Yeah.
That dude talks to everybody. He's a great man. He makes everybody feel special. That's what Michael Cartwright does.
Yeah.
Michael Cartwright makes everybody feel special.
Yes.
He talks to people. He talks to his clients. He wants the absolute best for his clients. And every now and then he's got to make tough decisions when people don't fit into that mode.
Yes.
When he asked me, he said, basically, I need you to come in here and help me. I need you to build a staff in your image. And I said, okay, I will build a staff in my image. He's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, nothing. I'm going to teach your staff how to be compassionate, empathetic, how to take care of the clients in a better way. What I'm not going to do is come in here and fire a bunch of people.
And one of the best qualities that you have, that you teach, obviously, in your mentorship program, being my coach and my mentor, I'm part of that. I've seen it way before. And, those that are in it, they see it. It's just the quality of the leader. And this leadership concept is, man, everybody fucking talks about it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody writes books about it, goes on stage and talk about it, and like my book, the book that I wrote, Every Man and Leader, was inspired by a simple quote that came from you. It said, listen, bro, just be good at the fucking basics and everything would be great. And that's fundamentally one of the best advices that, not that I've heard, but I've put into play.
Yeah. Be the best at
Bro,
basics,
I
man.
put it into play. I'm like, hey, listen, man, I'm just a basic guy. But I'm going to fucking crush you at the basics.
Yeah. The thing is, when that's everything for me now. It's like when I work, I'm not trying to invent some kind of new thing. I'm not trying to hire some consultant. I'm like, hey, Sam, what can I do to help you do your job better? And and people call and like, hey, Dan, we have this idea. Okay, let's do it. And before, I'm like, why didn't you guys do it before? Well, today I got an email. Hey, if we spend this much money for this, this is what it'll do. Do it. That was my answer. Do it.
Yeah. But it's years of your leadership in the most harsh environment, right? That forged that as well. Look, your number one ability, if we stripped everything away, like obviously your compassion overwrites all this shit, right? They can take everything away from Dan, but they won't ever be able to take your compassion.
No.
Whoever the fuck they are, right? But if we strip everything down from the number one quality, then in your proximity, including myself and people like me and everybody around you, what they learn and what they're able to inherit from you just being around you is this ability to create fucking order in chaos.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful because you did it for so many years at war and you were the best at it. That's why you were the best at it, because you were like, bro, calm the fuck down. Let me figure out what the fuck is going on here, right? But then you brought that special talent, that skill, that X factor that we call it here, into life now, right? Into your marriage, in raising your kids, and helping these people as part of your work, and inside of your spirituality and your connection with God. That has enhanced, and it's all about this ability to create fucking order and chaos. And God knows how many men need that in their life, whether they're not veteran or just how many men need that concept. We all need it because there's constant chaos in our lives.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, when things start going out of control, if you don't do something, they're not going to do anything. If you do half measures, why not just go right back to the start, right back to zero, and go, I'm going to work on one thing. What is the one thing? Everybody has a one thing, right? As a football coach, if I coach defensive line, all I want is extended arms. That's it. I talked about nothing else. Extend your arms. You do that. Offensive linemen aren't chest to chest. We win. Offensive linemen chest to chest with you, you lose. They're big and huge. You're not. And I take that for everything. When I teach people how to shoot, to me, teaching shooting is business. To me, the way I teach how to shoot a pistol is just how to be a businessman. Focus. Start from the ground up. This is an extension of your hand, et cetera, and all the little things that I talk about. But everything to me is basic, right? Now that everything for me is all about what is the most important thing, right? Some people are like, well, my job is really important because that's what takes care of my family. Some people are like, well, my family's more important, and then I go to work because of that. No. The most important thing for me is that I'm happy with me.
Fuck yeah, man.
And I'm happy with me, and now I can try to make other people happy. I tell my wife, you are the one person who has been by my side forever. And once that clicked, because like any man, your wife just becomes a partner sometimes.
True, that is true.
Now that I understand, because I had to, because God came to me and he said, you didn't listen to anything else, you stupid idiot. I blew you up. I freaking turned you into damn near liquefied you. You didn't listen.
I put you in a Persian Gulf for 19 hours.
Yeah.
You didn't listen.
I stuck you in the water for a while, lost at sea. You didn't listen. I put you in car crashes. I've done all these. You didn't listen to any of it. So guess what? I'm gonna give your wife cancer. How do you like them apples?
Yeah.
And that has just given me the clarity to go, what is the most important thing in my life? Through my wife is my life. Through my wife is my children. My children are my legacy, not anything else. My children are my legacy. That's the only thing that when I am not here on this earth, we will say that Dan Cirillo was here.
Yep.
Are my children. How my children are as parents, husbands, and wives, is a direct reflection on me.
100%.
You know, and that's the basic of Dan. It doesn't go any farther than that.
That's the basic of all of us. All of us.
I don't talk about how to be a great businessman, anything like that. That is the absolute basic. When it comes to business, hey man, focus and plan.
Yeah.
And contingencies. That's it. I know what's going to happen all the time because I've already had a plan for it.
Yeah.
I know that people are going to fail, so I can jump all over their shit, and or I can be like, I knew you were going to fail, so therefore I've done this to make sure you didn't and help you out because I knew if I brought this person over to help you at hour 5, because I knew you were going to get tired at hour 7, and I think about those things. I know that by Thursday my productivity of the workplace is going to go down, so why get fired up about it? Why not do things like, hey, let's go do some push-ups on Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Get the blood flowing. Let's cut off half a work day on Friday. What can I do? I know that when women get pregnant, they come back from pregnancy. Why would I expect them to be fire piss of vinegar? Their priority now is their baby.
Yeah.
So it's fine. Let's bring daycare to work.
Yeah.
How do I help you do your job better? Not come in here and be like, oh, here's how they do.
Yeah.
My most important thing now is everybody around me.
Yeah.
Because if they're happy, that means I'm happy.
It's true.
And it's where I used to talk about it, now I actually put it into action.
Absolutely.
You know?
So, hey, it's been wonderful having you here on the podcast. I'll have you here many other time, as many as time you want. You're always welcome to come here. But there's so many stories to tell. What I mean, you know, we didn't get to the part of the Persian Gulf story, but that's not part of that was part of the discussion. The discussion was truly about, you know, you're leading from a place of doing. Like you were the first one that went to that treatment before bringing it to any of the bros. And now the majority of your bros, one of the first, and the majority of your bros are now following your footstep, and so many others. And so I want to have you back here because I want to tell stories. I want to tell their stories, man. I want to like you come across their stories, and we don't need to name or anybody, but I want to talk about this. And we're not the most popular podcast, but the majority of men, like we're about 4,000 maybe or 2,000 viewers, but our audience is just men. Like it's purely men.
Yeah.
And when this resonates, they just forward this to another man in order to help them. So there's just exactly you and I that are here to help. So there's no doubt if there's, as part of our audience, if anybody's a veteran or anybody has been to war or has some issues similar to that, they can now have a way to listen to the story as the possibility because they listen to the entire story and they recognize themselves most probably, because I did, many of us, recognize yourself in that story, and the treatment becomes an option. So I wanna have you continuously here. Anytime you come down here,
Sure thing.
just talk about this, man. Because the more we broadcast about this, the more this message is gonna resonate. Because you're right, there's absolutely nothing out there. There's like, you know, there's no way. Here's a pail and go fucking to the gym. That conversation is an old conversation. 2020 is about changing things, as you said. Because it's coming, man. We got a window of 2 years, and if we got to do something, we got to do something solid in between.
Well, the thing is, you know, the active duty military organizations are doing something to prevent veteran suicide, but not the VA.
Oh.
The thing is, active duty right now, it's a large number. It's so small compared to veterans. That veteran network is so massive. We got to do something.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to get better.
Yeah.
Right. We got to find ways to get guys back to work. How do you get guys back to work? You got to get them to quit drinking.
Yeah.
You got to get them emotionally under control. You got to get guys, you know, and that's the thing. We talk about leadership. I will never knock the guys who go talk about it. But the difference is like how many of those guys are actually working with civilians in the workplace, female civilians in the workplace. How are these guys who are talking about leadership able to correlate to that? I do that. I've done it for a long time. It's difficult. You don't get them to assimilate to you.
No. No.
They're not changing for you.
No.
You need to change to get a way to communicate
I've witnessed
with them,
that, yes.
right? And it's only getting worse and how you need to communicate. But the bottom line is if you communicate with them as people
right,
and you find a way to find compassion and empathy for
Yes.
their story
Yes.
as well, they will listen to what
and
you
they
have to
process
say.
shit way differently.
Yeah.
So that leadership that you read, like, hold on a second. Who the fuck is reading it? Is it a man or a woman that's reading this?
Yeah.
Because when you talk to them, it's a two different language, man. We witnessed that in one of our own programs when inside of that there was a situation with a female that completely like processed the entire evolution differently, and then you had to pull some magic out there and process that
Yeah.
differently as well.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, I
you
fucking
know,
remember that. I
decided to
witnessed it.
stop it. The
Yeah, you
event
had
right
to
in the
stop
middle,
the whole
like,
process. Like,
okay,
okay.
But I didn't freak out.
No,
Create-
order.
Chaos is ensuing. Let's stop. Take
Order.
a time out.
it turned into chaos,
Yeah.
but you brought order to it just because there was a different language and a different way to approach that. And that's leadership.
And what was the key? She wanted to be heard.
Absolutely.
And instead of saying, I'm not going to listen to you,
Yeah.
tell me what you want to talk about.
Exactly.
Tell me what you need to say in this moment of stress,
Yeah.
anger, fear. And I will listen.
Trauma and tragedy. And like,
and I will listen. And we listen.
dude, the backpack came back. Like that's the truth. That's where the story of the backpack is so true. Like, okay, you get used to carrying a fucking weight until like somebody hits you in the leg, and now you're all the weight is on one leg. You're like, oh, I got a backpack. Fuck, you got a backpack. Yeah. So Dan, thanks for being on the show. Any final words to any man that is out there right now?
Hey man, fuck dude, it's hard, but it's simple. But the biggest thing is, I'll give you the Dan story to sum this up. Come up with your own routine that works. My routine is basic, very simple. I lay in bed, I wake up, I listen to some music, I ease myself out of bed, I do the same thing the same way. I iron my clothes in the morning. When I come home at night, it's completely for the family. I don't work. It's all routine. Now that routine is order, there is no chaos. My life is very simple. But I've had to simplify my life, and that's the only message I give to guys. Simplify your life to what really matters. Do you really need that car, those many houses, this much money, et cetera, et cetera? It's all nice, but if you're getting all that and you're losing the one and most important things in your life as a result, and you have no relationship with that, what are you going to be when you're 60 and you're alone? You know, I'll tell you one story, and I'll end it with this. When I decided that I would leave the SEAL teams, there was many aspects to it, but the biggest one, when my wife said I won't be here, I remember talking to one of my best friends and basically saying, hey, I'm leaving. And we went back and forth, and I finally came to told one thing. I don't want to be some pissed off Master Chief sitting at a bar stool in peace talking about my third ex-wife. Right? And so you want to be 70 and talking about your third ex-wife, your fourth ex-wife, talking about a relationship with kids who you don't have? Keep doing what the fuck you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Or do you actually want to change who you are and what you do and have a relationship with the most important things in your life? Right. You got to do it.
Beautiful advice and wisdom. Simple wisdom, man. It all comes back to the basic. I put it in the book. And if you want to hear more about this podcast and other details about the video and the audio and the transcripts and all that will be available here shortly on warriorweeknow.com. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us. I want to thank my guest, Dan. He will be back here more with some additional stories. Thanks very much for listening to the show.